Well, we have got today a new feature called The Mannequin. Okay, so this is the second film from John Berardo. Right, he wrote and directed. It is produced by who have we got? Sanjay Belani, Maxwell Hamilton, Ashley Nicole Rosenberg, and Carly Sturgeon. It is co-produced by Zachary Charles Raderstorff, Brian Frager, and executive produced by Arton Bagumian, Florden Enrique, Un Ming Lau, Johnson Lee. Yeah, that's it. Okay. The score was from Alexander Arntzen. Jonathan Pope is on cinematography. Christina Lyons edits the piece. Production design, we have Emily Peters. Emily Ward is art direction. Krista Olfsson handled wardrobe. Hair and makeup, we have Alicia Holbrook and Ali Shellhorn. We have got Christelle Martin on stunts. And our cast. Well, Sophia Rojas is played by Gabriella Rivera. Her sister, Liana, is played by Isabella Gomez. We have got Isabella's, well, I guess, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend Peter Adler, played by Maxwell Hamilton. And we have her friends, There is Nadine Yang, played by Shireen Lai. And there is Hazel Miller, played by Lindsay LaVanchy. We also have got Ruth Colvert, played by Christelle Martin. I should say there is Nadine's husband now, Mark Sonnenberg, played by Trevor LaPaglia. We got Carol Richards, played by Laura Drumerick. Mindy Jenkins, played by Ty Harris. We've got the building manager, played by John Berardo. And Jack Bernard, played by Jack Sochet. Who else do we have? Then there's the new tenant, played by Catherine Jacobs. So, yes, that is that aspect of the film. What is it all about, you may ask? Well, when aspiring fashion designer Sophia Rojas dies alone in a historical downtown Los Angeles building most people accept is a tragic suicide. Her younger sister Liana, however, remains unconvinced. When she returns to the site with plans to rekindle her sister's ambitions, Liana begins to have paranormal experiences that quickly escalate from unsettling to downright terrifying. She discovers that the building is haunted by a serial killer who brutally murdered and dismembered his victims there over half a century earlier. Now that he's marked Liana and her friends as his next victims, they have to find a way to escape the ghost's deadly grasp before they lose their own body parts. So, yeah, right? That's the film, people. You know what I mean? Now, we do have a director's statement from John. It reads, "The Mannequin is a film born from loss, uncertainty, and the desperate need to create something out of chaos. In 2020, just days before the premiere of my feature debut at South by Southwest, everything changed. What was supposed to be the year turned into that year. A time of waiting, grieving, and isolation. Like so many, I found myself stuck inside my ambitions, put on indefinite hold. Staring through windows and screens at a world that felt frozen. To stay sane, I returned to creating with my hands, painting, drawing, building small acts of survival through art. It was during this time that I rediscovered a collection of mannequins left behind by an old roommate, abandoned relics from another artist's forgotten project. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away. There was something unsettling yet profoundly human about these empty, intimate forms. Over months, I sculpted them into new pieces of living room art. Limbs emerging from walls, light fixtures sprouting from torso stumps. As I worked, the seeds of the mannequin began to grow. This story is about chasing dreams from the past that feel just out of reach, and the haunting devastation that comes with losing a loved one. At its core, it's a deeply personal rendition on grief, ambition, and the fight to reclaim meaning when the future you believed in vanishes overnight. Through the mannequin, I wanted to create an experience that is emotional, terrifying, and human. A ghost story about the dreams and people we refuse to let go of. How we carry pieces of them with us. How they shape the spaces we live in. A portrait of dreams that fester when left in the dark too long. The Mannequin is not simply about death, it's about what remains. So, yeah, that is the film, people. And you know what? I feel John hit his mark, right? Because the film definitely, I think, showcases those elements, right? Because, you know, we start off and we have, oh gosh, I can't think of which girl it would have been. I think it's probably Ruth, right? Played by Crystal Martin. She's getting photos taken, right, by none other than Jack Bernard. And, you know, we're watching this happen. It's a little, right, little sleazy. You know, I mean, not the photos themselves, but the way Jack is behaving, right? Which makes you think like, yeah, okay. And then everything goes down, right? We jump forward in time and we have Sophia and her sister, Liana, looking around the building and, right, being shown what this space is. Now, you know something is up, right? Because the building manager never mentions what happened in that building years ago, And I do believe you're meant to kind of bring those things up, right? Doesn't know. So, yeah. So we see this, and then we, like, there's all these positive things happening in Sophia's life. And then, Nadine drops news, and we have all of these things. It does kind of feel like Liana kind of feels stuck, right? And especially because we then, she tries to make some moves. And then we get the death. All right? All of this happens. And so after that, right, we have Liana kind of coming back to this space. And I think it's one of those weird things, right, where you go, why would someone come back to that space? But, right, as, John talks about, right, it's about people we refuse to let go, right, the film. It's looking at that, right, the way you carry pieces of them with you, even if, you're trying to move on, you're trying to find ways to cope with it. And Leanne's ways of coping, not the best, right? Definitely not the best. But we see this. And I think because everything, right? She disappeared for a year. So her friends, there is this kind of wall between her and her friends when she comes back, which all makes sense, right? And you do feel that temperature drop, as it were, right? The frost. And it's trying to act like everything is cool, but everything isn't cool. Right, so we all have all of those things kind of playing out. And it's just like, what can come from this? Right? Like, how do you cope? How do you deal with this thing that is happening, but you're not quite sure? You're kind of, it's all kind of consuming. And all of those things I do think are there, right? I think the way that our cast portray this, right? Like, I think Shireen Lai does a great job with Nadine, because she is the one, right? She, you can see that she's got this analytical mind, right? She's trying to kind of work out, okay, so how could these things be happening, right? So there, a subconscious realization of, and she's trying to think of all of these different things. And also it's that frustration with Liana, right, where Hazel is trying to put more of that front up, like, hey, it's so good to see you, know what I mean? And I think both actresses really do sell those parts to us. Like Isabella with Liana, right, is that kind of aloofness, detachment, right? Trying to act like, everything is fine and that she doesn't have problems and all of this kind of thing, right? I think all of those things are very palpable. Like the way John shoots this, it does bring the tension, right? It does. I mean, there is a moment, right? And the girls, I think it's kind of midway through the film, and they're standing in the building, and this thing happens. I literally jumped out of my frigging seat. Right? It was just so unexpected. So it's just like, Jesus Christ. Oh my days. And then there was another bit towards the end, right? Again, when they were all in the spot with oh my gosh, his name. What's with bloody Peter. And when he turns to the door, again, I just jump out my friggin' seat, man. So, you know what I mean? Like, the film definitely has you, like, oh my days, a few times. There were a few incidents, I should say. Like, I guess with Liana's drinking, I do feel that I think you can have functional alcoholics, right? Functional drunks, but they're still a little bit messy. You know what I mean? And I think Liana was maybe a bit too with it in places. And also, like, Peter, I don't think he really has a plan, you know? Like, and I would be, if I'm listening to Peter, I would want to know what the actual plan is, you know what I mean? Before anything happens. So there is that. And I guess you could say that Peter's Peter, right? And the size of Peter. So there is a bit where kind of like maybe you feel he could have done a bit better, right? But, you know, it is what it is, right? As a second film, I definitely think this shows, right, a lot of... I think it shows a lot of thought, right? A lot of composure in the way everything's framed up and, you know what I mean? Our character development and all of those things. I do think that is there. There are some little bits of the story that could possibly be tightened up. I think especially at the end. Now, the end isn't bad per se. But I think if you think about it, there's possibly certain things that may have happened, right? Because of everything, right? There's certain things that I would say, you know what I mean? If I was in certain people's shoes, I would be doing. So there is that. But for anyone that is a fan of just that kind of, you know, like creepy, atmospheric, human-centered pieces, the Mannequin is definitely one of those things that I would say you would probably want to check out, because, you know, it definitely carries a lot of weight with it. There was a film that I'd say, I think a couple of years ago on Hulu around Halloween time, about a woman who was a fashion designer's assistant. Gosh, for the life of me, I cannot think of what it was called. We did cover it on the pod. Right? It was interesting. Let me try and think of what it was called. Okay, so yeah, I think I think the film was called Appendage, right? On Hulu Disney Plus. And so, yeah, if you are a fan of that, then I think you will like The Mannequin as well. Yeah, people. For the life of me, I forget when this drops. But all the information will be on the website, right? So, yeah. If you want some, creepy ass horror, you know what I mean? People, go check out The Mannequin.